Hello, my name is Alex McConnell and welcome to our O-scale train layout.
In this video, we begin working over in scene 1 on the yard area where I finished splicing in some plywood, added in some scrap that I had to complete this piece, and it goes through the wall. As you can see, it'll be underneath the city, and I did that to bring optimal length to the yard tracks. Once that was done, I went ahead and painted the entire layout in a tan color. I was getting ready for an open house and just wanted to bring some uniformity to it and add some tracks and some structures and things out to kind of show off the layout a little bit. It was a bit of a celebration because this was the first time that the layout was in operation where you could run trains completely around the entire layout, at least on the main. Not all the sidings were complete yet, and especially not the industrial sidings. So again, just some different shots of that, showing you that progress. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for checking out the video and the positive comments that I receive. Originally, I put this together for just a handful of local train club members. Well, not really members. We just get together and have a good time running trains. Not so concerned about scale and gauge and things like that, just to have fun and enjoy trains and enjoy each other's company. So I'm grateful for all you that I've learned from and that are interested in what I'm doing. And if it benefits you, hey, that's great. And I'm certainly happy to share, happy to answer any questions. So after the open house, I carried on over in this scene. This is scene 3 and 4, where I continued to work on the passing siding. And this is a number 8 right-hand switch, that was for the refinery siding. This was a challenging area to get to, and I couldn't get a switch motor mount from underneath, so I did a little trick that I learned. I believe it was a Model Railroader magazine years ago on an N-scale layout where they cut a hole through the table and, in essence, mounted the switch machine from underneath and then put it back into the hole. And so I tried this. I've never tried it before in O-scale or O-gauge. I could have had the switch machine on top, but again, it's my preference to use the tortoise motors because I like the slow, smooth action of them. Plus, they have additional relays I could use for future, signals or other indicators. And to cover over the hole where I cut, I used some cardboard. I think this is just from a cereal box or something, and to, again, something I learned from others, to cover over the hole. So like one of the other shots coming up, you'll see where it is, and it just blends right in. So eventually when there's scenery, you won't even notice it. And it gives me the opportunity to pull that switch back up if I ever need to service it. And in custom fashion, I use my little test car to make sure everything is working smoothly, and then also clean the track. Some of the track I have is new and some of it's used, so I like to clean it off with that Scotch-Brite as I go, and then use an old T-shirt, to wipe it down. Here's my test locomotive and the scratcher, using it to check for power, clean, and also run a test locomotive to make sure that all works well as I progress. In typical fashion, I measure and then lay down the cork and then lay the track over that. The mains overall here and the sidings are 4.5 inches apart. The exception being right across this bridge in the distance there, where a good friend of mine built that, and he built it at about 5.25 inches center to center. So I had to fudge a little bit the sidings to get it to line up. And here's some shots where I drilled down through, actually with my Dremel. Made hole. It's kind of a roto zip style Dremel tool, and put my switch motors underneath. But first, get the switches where I want them to be, and custom make some spacers to get to where it will fit. Again, to ease from the 4.5 inch on center to 5 1/4 inch on center before it goes over the bridge. once I'm happy with that and then everything works satisfactorily, then I put the switch motors in from underneath and then wire it up to the control panel. Only the mains have powered motors. I've decided that for all the sidings that I could within reach, they would all be manual. And they could be automatic, but I decided to allow the operators to interact with the trains to do this manually instead. It gives you a little more, somewhat of a realistic type of approach. So that way you'd have to get out and actually unlock and then throw the switch and then lock it again. Some of these are different pictures from the open house when I just laid some things out. Some of these tracks weren't even powered, they weren't screwed down, etc. It was just for a visual. But it gave me an opportunity to see it and get some ideas on how it could be. There's that number 8. You can see maybe the piece of cardboard possibly in the picture. This is back over in the yard area where I started to lay out the tracks. I went through several different revisions, and this is actually getting down to the final revision where I like this design using various Ross regular and Ross number 4 and Ross number 6. I think I used some other maybe 054 and 072 curve switches to come up with a design that I liked. The challenge in O scale is having enough room. It just takes a long area to have a suitable yard, and this was just a little less than I was hoping, but it came out okay. Yard tracks are 3.5 inch on center, and again, they're all manual throws. Also, they're all hot. All the tracks are permanently hot, meaning they're powered all the time. In times past, I would have made the sidings and the yard tracks that way I could disable them, and I could go back and do that, but I decided since I'm running DCS and TMCC that I would just leave them hot. So in typical fashion, I would mark on the plywood where I want the tracks to be, lay down that cork, and then lay the lay down the track. This is a shot of some experimentation with some weathering. Most of my experimentation happened down in the garage where I had some scrap pieces, and I had tried a variety of different colors until I came up with this one that I liked. It's still wet in this picture, but when it dried, I really liked it. And I'm hoping with some ballast that it'll really be suitable. Here's what it is. I use Rust-Oleum camouflage, and I think I have the color coming up here. Yeah, here it is. 1918 Earth Brown. I really like the look of this. The downsides are the smell when you do it, the overspray. So I use gloves, wore a mask, and properly ventilated the room. I had fanned the window and tried to draw some air through. And of course, mask things off. We use some cardboard and things because the overspray just goes all over. And just do a little bit at a time also, just maybe a few feet. And before it has a chance to dry, you just take an old T-shirt and just wipe off the top of rails. No problem. I had zero problems with anything running afterwards, if that's a concern for anybody. So that's not a problem. So in this scene, you can see some of the straightaways or straight sections that I painted outside, brought those in, laid them down, and then I went back over the switches and then touched those up. So just getting some different scenes of that and as that carries on. And I have some running trains at the very end, because I've had some people ask, are you running trains? And absolutely. When we can, we try to do that. And these days, the work on the layout has slowed. We spend more time running it and just enjoying it instead. So again, just some different shots. You can see some of the different switch work, and it's interesting how the different colors of the track all became uniform after just some simple, shots of paint. So again, it makes me excited to see what it's going to look like when we do the completed scenery. Well, thanks again, everyone, for checking out the videos and all your positive comments. Again, I sure do appreciate that. Until next time.